why did they make you the commentator, and then why did you stop? Was it just that WCW ended and that was the
Oh,
end
I
of
tell you, no. I'm trying to think of what happened. I can't even remember now. I think it had something to do with the company cross. I remember Bischoff had left, and then he came back, if I remember correctly. Am I right about that?
Yeah, towards the end.
And I think it had something to do with that. And he was like, "We want to put you back in the ring and not do commentary anymore." The fans loved it. The fans, I still got people to this day hitting me with the catchphrases and stuff. You know, still hitting me on social media with the catchphrases. And I'm like, bro, I ain't even said those catchphrases in a zillion years. You know what I'm saying? So I was surprised that people still remember them like that. You know, I was really surprised, you know, after the company shut down and everything. And I think that's what happened. Another dumb decision from people in WCW that didn't know what the fuck they were doing. That's it. That's it. You know, you're asking the same question other people was asking, like, hey man, you're the best. You're the best person out here doing this stuff, man. You know, this is what people, even the boys were like, bro, you're the best person out here doing this stuff, man. And I'm like, wow, you know, so I'm like, hey, man, I'm just doing what I'm told.
I think a lot of people, myself included, loved you on commentary. Just funny with all the catchphrases and stuff. It just, you were great. And your chemistry with Tony Schiavone was awesome.
Oh yeah,
and just,
me and Tony me and Tony would always go over stuff before we went out. And I would always go, hey, Tony, can I ask you something? And people would have those signs. People would have the signs in the audience, in the crowd. Tony, can I ask you something? And that's something that kind of came out of nowhere because me and Tony, I did it a couple of times. And Tony thought it was funny. You know what I'm saying? He was like, why are you always asking me, can you ask me something? You know, just say it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I said, man, it sounds better when I'm asking, you know, can I go on the record right here? Because I was thinking of stuff that had never been done before. I'm still an entertainer, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I'm still an entertainer. So I have to entertain and commentate all at the same time in a wrestler's mentality. That's how I looked at it. So the stuff was just coming off the top of my head from an entertainment point of view, because as a professional wrestler, you're always trying to think of entertaining things to get you over. So as a commentator, the wrestling mentality never stopped. So, and the guys, Ed was always on the one of the producers. So I could hear him laughing in my ear when I said things, which meant that was good because I could hear him laughing, stuff like that. So I had a lot of fun with it, man. A lot of people don't know. That's what I went to school for anyway. So I never thought I'd ever come back to it. You know, like when I was getting out of high school, that's what I wanted to do. I was going to go to school and I wanted to be in radio.
Wow.
So that's where a lot of that came from, you know, because I used to DJ in clubs and stuff like that. You know, this was many moons ago. So that's where a lot of it came from, you know. And then as a hobby, when I was a young man, I would imitate commentators on television and try to emulate their voices and the things that they're saying about what's going on in a basketball game or a football game or even a professional wrestling show. So I now used to do that in the dressing rooms. Also, I would do that in the dressing rooms because back in those days we had monitors, but they had no sound. So I would like commentate the matches. We're in the back looking at a match on the monitor. So I would like commentate the match like somebody in the professional wrestling room. I don't know if you've seen that. That was a heavy kick. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't talk with my voice. I talk with a wrestling commentator's voice. Oh, that was a heavy slam. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
He's really making a comeback now. You know, and the guys just thought it was so funny. So it was just something to entertain ourselves. And I found out a couple of years ago that Disco Inferno, they wanted to get somebody out there from a wrestler on Commentator. And I found out that Disco Inferno told Vince Russo he needed to get me. I never applied for this job, if you see what I'm saying. So they came to me. They sent me a fax. I would never forget it. I was in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah, finishing up a loop. And I got a fax at my hotel saying I have to be at TV on Monday. And I'm like, what do I got to be on TV on Monday for? And then they told me I was getting an audition to be a commentator. And I'm like, how did I get into this? You know what I'm saying? I've never done any of this stuff. And I'm like, I'm tripping. If you understand what I'm saying, I'm tripping. Like, if somebody had to come to me and say, hey, Stevie, would you want to try out for a commentator job? You know what I'm saying? If somebody had said, then I would have knew, but I would have had the chance to say yay or nay. And probably would have said, no, I want to have, I'm a wrestler, bro, So I went down because they were doing the show in the Dome in Atlanta. So I flew from Salt Lake City to Atlanta. And that's what we were performing at that night. But I went to the studios where we used to do me and Scott, what was his name? Scott Dixon. No, what's his name? The ball guy, Scott. He's one of the commentators too.
Scott Hudson.
Scott Hudson. Me and Scott used to do the Saturday night shows together in the studio. So I went to the studio and nobody was there. And I'm like, I was told to come, I'm dressed nice. I was told to come do a try out for the commentator's job. Because I was gonna mess it up on purpose. Because I didn't want to do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to do that. Because I'm like, shoot, man, they're going to cut my paycheck and stuff, because I don't know what these guys make up. I don't want to do this. And one of the people that said, oh, no, they got everything set up at the Georgia Dome. So they're doing it over there. And I'm like, what? So now I got to drive all the way over to the Georgia Dome and park in that big giant parking lot and come through the back. And, and I finally get to the building. And like I said, I'm sweating now because, I got a necktie on and nice clothes. I don't know if I had a necktie on, but I know I was dressed nice. So I'm looking around I was like, hey, where they're doing the tryouts? And didn't nobody know what I was talking about. I was like, hey, man, some of the people in the back, where they're doing the tryouts? And I was like, tryouts? We don't know anything about that. And then I go to this person. Oh, no, we don't know. I don't know. I'm like, damn, man. How they having tryouts and don't nobody know about the tryouts? Because I'm thinking there's going to be several people there, you know what I'm saying, trying out for this. So finally I see Vince walking. And you got to realize how big the Georgia Dome is. It's not like a regular building, 20,000 seater or 15,000 seater that we go in. The Georgia Dome, I don't know, maybe 60, 70,000 people. So the back area is huge. And I seen Vince walking with a bunch of people around him. And, he's running around with like a chicken with his head cut off with different people, quarterbacking like he usually does. And I said, Vince. And he stopped and go, hey, Stevie. I was like, hey, man, where are we doing the tryouts at? He said, tryouts? I said, yeah, man, you sent me the fax saying it was a tryout. He go, oh, that. Well, I scrapped it. You're starting tonight.
Whoa.
I'm starting tonight, man. I'm trying to catch a late flight home. I ain't trying to work tonight. I'm trying to go home, man, because I was going to be off for a few days after the last loop. And now I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. So I went to the meeting, the pre-show meeting. I'm sitting in there. I don't even know what the hell's going on. Everybody's got pen and paper and writing and stuff like that. I don't even know what's going on. I've never been to a production meeting before.
Wow.
And then Tony, Mike Tenay, and we have a meeting. They kind of give me a crash course in what's about to happen. With no timing, no nothing. So that's how the whole thing started. So they just threw me out to the wolves, man.
Wow. Just
And
like that.
once, yeah, they just threw me into the wolves. I'm stepping over people. Then I got Ed Ferrara in my ear telling me things to say. And I'm like, as Tony and Mike are talking. So I'm like, well, when do I supposed to get my 2 cents in? I remember he told me one time, tell him it looked like he got that from eBay. Do you know back then I didn't even know what the hell eBay was. I didn't even know I had never heard the word before. And I'm like, eBay, what the hell is he talking about, man? So little by little, I got a little better at it the next week. Then after that, I went to Ed and I said, Ed, I can't do it this way. I say, you're going to have to let me talk. I said, you're going to have to get out of my ear and let me bring a character to the forefront that I know I can bring. And I told Mike and Tony the same thing. So let me do me. I can't be the Stevie Ray that everybody knows. I have to be more of me, the person that had a little training in this, you know what I'm saying? And I can bring the character at the same time. And we tried that, and the rest is history.
And it's great that you had kind of prior experience, or you were ready for that spot, because it seemed like if anybody else was thrust in there, I don't know if they would have been successful right off the bat, but you were almost like ready for it.
But like I said, I had been imitating this kind of stuff for a long time.
Yep.
So now I'm out here actually doing it for real, and not on a monitor, but watching them in the ring. My biggest problem was me trying to watch a monitor. You're supposed to watch the monitor. You don't supposed to watch the match. Even though you're sitting right there, you don't watch the match. That was my biggest thing trying to get used to, is watching the monitor right in front of me, because I was doing this. But see, I don't supposed to be doing this because I'm supposed to be commentating what the camera is looking at, not what I'm looking at. So that was kind of hard. But once I got that down, it was pretty cool. And once we got the timing down, it was pretty cool. And then I started coming up with the catchphrases and stuff like that. So that started to get over with people. And then, like I said, a thing with me and Tony, where I started asking him, hey, Tony, can I ask you something? Yeah, Stevie. You know, blah, blah, blah. And people really loved that. So it was a good experience, man. I still, that was one of my best times that I can remember in professional wrestling, because me, Tony, and Mike had so much fun, man. Especially going overseas together, you know, we had so much fun, you know.
And you could tell you were having fun, just with the catchphrases and stuff, and like you could tell you were into it. You were, you had like good energy, like for a commentator.
Yeah, I think so, man. But like I said, those 2 guys helped me so much, and I would come up with different spots, like wrestling spots in commentary. So I would tell Mike, I'm going to say this, and I want you to say this. Then I come back with this, and that's like, oh yeah, that's it. So be ready for that. And I would just choose a good part of the show to do that. You know what I'm saying? And he'd write it down. So when I would come, you know, I'll say something that day. Tony, do you know what happened in 1536? No, Stevie, I don't know what happened in 1536. And then I would give him whatever I'm talking about as it pertains to this, as it reminds me of this match. So that's when Tony started calling me straight shooting Stevie Ray. You know, because I would come up with historical, history is my thing. I would come up with historic things and apply it to professional wrestling. And that's what it reminded me of. And Tony was like, God damn, man, you know a lot about a lot of stuff. And I said, I didn't know I knew this stuff until I started watching wrestling. And the stuff is in my head somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going out read. This is something that's been in my head probably since high school. You know what I'm saying? And now something in that match reminded me of this, and now I can apply it. Different little things like that. But yeah, man, we had fun doing it, man. Those 2 guys. Tony and them was here. I still stay in contact with Tony. Mike, I don't. But I know Mike was doing Impact, wasn't he?
He was inducted into their Hall of Fame. He was doing the commentary years ago, but just recently was inducted into their Hall of Fame.